There is a graveyard sitting in your CRM right now. Leads you paid for, leads your team taste, then silence. Most agencies let that money rot. I don't. Customer acquisition is expensive, so why keep burning budget on new prospects when the ones that you already have never got a proper follow-up? Last week, I built a lead reactivation system using an A10. In 48 hours, it pulled leads that hadn't spoken in 6 months. Here's how it works. It pulls cold leads, it writes a hyper-relevant follow-up using AI, and the killer feature, it reads the reply and categorizes it automatically. If they are not interested, the CRM logs it. If they are ready now, your sales team gets alerted instantly. Let me show how it works. Before we jump into notes and code, here's the DNA of the system. This is not mass blast spam, this is a surgical pipeline. The workflow triggers only leads untouched for at least 6 months. The GPT analyzes why they never converted and writes the exact follow-up that fits the context. The router is where the magic happens. The AI doesn't just send, it listens. One reply can fall into 3 buckets: interested, not interested, or needs more info. For example, if they say, hey, sorry, last quarter was crazy, can we revisit? The AI logs it, updates the CRM, and schedules the next touch automatically. Alright, enough talk, let's build this thing. We keep the build simple. We use NA10 for the automation, Google Sheets for the database, Gmail for the outbound, and OpenAI for the brain. Schedule it every day at 9 a.m. We set the basic info of the business, like the name, the description of the business, the booking link if there is any, and the city that the business is operating. Then we fetch the database with a simple node of Google Sheets, and the operation is get rows. We use a filter because we obviously don't want to spam people. The lead has to be cold and also has to be contacted less than 4 times, and also the follow-up date has to match the one that we have on our database. We also use a limit here, and specifically to 50 items or leads, because we don't want to be marked by Gmail as spam, so that's a safe limit. Then we move to the brain of this automation, in which we use GPT-4o Mini because it is 10 times cheaper than anything else and gets the job done. I know you would probably be tempted to use the latest one, but it's not worth it regarding the price. Then we use a system prompt, which is like general instructions. We use simple human language. After that, we use the user prompt, which is like more specific instructions, like the name of the business, the service, the city, which have set from the beginning of the workflow. And we also use the lead info that we pull from the database. We tell it what is the objective. And also another important part of the prompt is the 4 to 6 sentences max, because we don't want to sound too salesy. And obviously we have to add a CTA about the booking. Then we send the mail to the lead that was fetched from the database. We set the subject, can also say something like quick question from the business to sound less salesy. And obviously the body of the email has to be the output of the previous one. We then move to another important part of the workflow, the code node, in which we loop through all the leads that we got from the database, the 50 that we have set. Then we change the new count to be the old one plus 1. If that go to the 4th attempt, we mark it as exhausted because we don't want to bother them. We are persistent, not desperate. Then we set the time zone. I'm currently in Vienna. We then set the next date for a lead to be contacted 3 days from now, and we then return all the new variables. We then move to update our database based on the previous variables. We match it using the ID. We update the status, the attempt count, the last attempt, and the next follow-up. Clean data produces better results. Then after that, we can move to the inbound system. This is where most automations fail. We have set the trigger of this workflow to be when we receive a mail from a reactivated lead. Then we set some fields that we're gonna need later, like the email sender, the email body, booking link, if there is any, and the owner's email for the notification. Here we fetch the specific lead that we filtered using the email from the previous node, and then here is the brain of the workflow. We use the GPT model 4.0, which is more than capable of executing this prompt. The whole purpose of this node is to classify the replies that we got from the reactivated leads as interested, not interested, later, question, unsubscribe, or other, and write a short summary. The reply has to be in JSON, so it is more easy to work with. Then we classify it as interested, later, not interested, unsubscribe, or question. And depending on that, we follow the route. For example, for interested, change the database, change the status as reactivated. We also insert a note with a short summary, and we obviously notify the owner with mail and also Slack. If the lead told us that he wants to be contacted later, we just change the follow-up date to be 2 weeks from now. If it is not interested, we change the status to lost and next follow-up date to 0. We won't be contacting them anymore because compliance is important. Then, if the lead has a question, we create a response based on that question. We want it to be professional and concise. Then we send that draft to the owner, and then he decides if he wants to use the draft or answer himself or herself. And that's the full stack. A machine that turns your dead database into live conversation automatically. You don't need a team, you don't need expensive software, just need this workflow. I package everything, the prompts, the logic, the nodes, into a clean JSON file that you can import straight into ND10. Download is in the description. So if you run a business and want this installed for you so it can start generating calls next week, there is a link on the same page to book a quick strategy call. I'll see you in the next build.